Protein and healthy fats are essential and were wrongly discouraged in prior dietary guidelines. My message is clear: eat real food.
You look at the blue zones, for example, around the world where people live the longest, alcohol is sometimes part of their diet. Again,
Almost
small
all the time.
amounts, taken very judiciously and usually in a celebratory fashion. So there is alcohol on these dietary guidelines.
Booze is back on the menu, the food pyramid. Now, my question to you is, and I know that we have a lot of fitness enthusiasts who may be watching, what are your thoughts on this? And why do you think we had the food pyramid that we did for such a long time? The federal government has now rolled out a whole new pyramid, a whole new set of nutritional guidelines, which I would say is not only far more sensible, but to me, it begs the question, why wasn't it always this? Here's our favorite RFK.
The new guidelines recognize that whole, nutrient-dense food is the most effective path to better health and lower healthcare costs. Protein and healthy fats are essential and were wrongly discouraged in prior dietary guidelines. Diets rich in vegetables and fruits reduce disease risk more effectively than many drugs. Whole grains outperform refined carbohydrates. My message is clear: eat real food.
Though some suggest that he has ulterior motives regarding this new health plan, considering his recent team up with Wendy's.
It certainly is a big bun.
Very big, fluffy bun.
Where is the bee?
At Wendy's, you get more beef and less bun.
Where is the bee?
You're Wendy's kind of people.
You know, he should have to disclose
Yeah, he should have to tell you that
those
he's got
interests.
other motives. Yeah,
But it almost should have been obvious.
he seems like more of a Jack-in-the-Box guy to me.
Yeah. Yes. Now, here's the thing. I know that you'll get some vegan, vegetarian channels out there that will take this and clip it and complain about it and try and parse through this. But I don't want to present myself as a nutritionist or as a doctor. But I do think that we can all sort of agree on the realms, the boundaries of common sense. First off, you should be exercising, you should be training, 2-3 times a week if you can. You should be moving every day and eat whole foods when you're hungry until before you're full. If you do that, you're probably going to solve 90% of the problems. But even the New York Times published this op-ed, which is in stark contrast to the leftists that you see on X and on social media. They wrote, Kennedy is telling Americans how to eat. It's not crazy advice. The new nutrition advice is, dare I say it, overall very sensible? Yeah, but here's the thing.
They sound surprised.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And the previous nutrition advice was not sensible at all. You wouldn't be able to justify the disproportionate servings of refined carbohydrates under the guise of whole grains. Because what did that... Remember when we were kids and we watched, it would say, Honey Nut Chip, Frosted Flakes, part of this balanced breakfast.
Yeah. Yes. And it was a huge breakfast.
It was a huge breakfast.
It was like a Golden Corral breakfast.
Yes, it was. They'd have a glass of milk, a glass of orange juice. They would have an egg and a piece of fruit. And the cereal, you could do all of that without this bowl of cereal.
It'd
be better off.
It pretty much...
oatmeal, there was grits, there was eggs.
Yeah.
There was a Pop-Tart.
Usually, I had the strudels, which, by the way, was basically it was just apple pie for breakfast.
It was great.
Yes.
So the new pyramid, which goes kind of in reverse order, the top, meaning what you should consume the least, includes grain, bread. In the middle, you have eggs, fruit. You see that there. And then at the bottom, which I think, looks like it's reversed here in the opposite. I don't know if it's an inverse image, but the biggest portion would be meat, including red meat, poultry, veggies, right? That should be the bulk of your diet. Meaning if you look at it, proteins, meats, veggies, fruits are better for you than a bunch of refined carbohydrates. I think we know that now. I think the science is in. Also, India has decided to update their own food pyramid for the good of the people. That's a little bit different. I wouldn't recommend. But here's the thing. This is something when people talk about, are you getting what you voted for? I never would have voted for RFK Jr., to be clear, in a general election. I differ with him on too many fundamental issues. But on this issue specifically, we said this is where he could probably do a lot of good. What you have to ask yourself is, why was there such resistance to this for so long? People would point to the food pyramid. People would say, well, hold on a second, meat is bad for you. You should consider a vegetarian diet. Remember when green smoothies were a big thing, which we know can actually be catastrophic for your thyroid for some people. Now, let's go through some of the claims that have been made that led us here and why we know now with the science as it's in, they were false. First claim. All references available, link in the description, that red meat, you heard this for a long time, and you're still hearing it from some people. Red meat is bad for you. This is bad because red meat equals bad.
Too much red and processed meat will increase your chances of type 2 diabetes.
A diet that includes red meat raises the risk of developing cardiovascular disease and cancer, as well as health problems like diabetes and high blood pressure.
Researchers now at Harvard and MIT say red meats may have a negative impact on our cognitive skills.
After all, the World Health Organization has declared red meat a carcinogen.
How the did steak become the healthiest food in the country?
Yeah, I would argue it's always been amongst the healthiest foods, because here's the truth. The claims that you have heard for a long time, you'll find some exceptions because there are many, 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 many studies out there. But looking at them, looking at the meta-analyses, looking at all of these studies, looking at the totality, the first claims that you heard that red meat was bad for you, those studies included processed meat. What that means is they compared vegetarians to the average American diet, which would include pizza with pepperoni, which would include a bologna sandwich, which would include fast food burgers. And if you think about that, you just sort of logically walk through it, we'll go, well, yeah. At one point in time, vegetarians would have been far more health conscious than the average American eating fast food. Yeah. That's not the same as somebody who is health conscious eating healthy proteins in comparison to a vegetarian. When you look at those, you actually see that one will be deficient in certain key nutrients and one won't. By the way, I'm not advocating for carnivore or vegetarianism. I actually think that this food pyramid is a pretty damn good place to start for most people and very feasible. When you actually separate out the unprocessed from the processed red meat, meaning pepperoni, burgers, fast food, from steaks, for example, or liver, you actually look at the literature and it says weak evidence of association between unprocessed red meat consumption and colorectal cancer, breast cancer, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Meaning, once we said, okay, someone's eating steak and rice, or steak and veggies, or maybe eating, chicken breast and soup. Let's take this, let's compare it to a vegetarian diet. Oh, turns out not only is it kind of a wash as far as health overall, these people are stronger, more athletic, and seem to perform better. It's not, by the way, diets are unique. Some people react better to certain foods than others. But we were told for a long time. Remember that rumor? It used to be John Wayne died with like 20 pounds of impacted fecal matter in his colon because of all the red meat. It wasn't true.
What?
Yeah, that was a big thing. Tell me if you guys remember that growing up.
The whole colonics movement?
Colonics, the detox thing. Your body does it very effectively, just to be clear. Here's another truth. You always were taught color means nutrition. Well, you actually get more nutrition that's available to your body from high quality meats than most vegetables. So let me give you some examples of this. Compared to vegetables, red meat, they have, you've heard this micronutrient, that was a big trend, remember people juicing. It was micronutrient diet. You actually get more in most good, high quality lean meats. And they have a much higher bioavailability. That means they have more iron, more zinc, B12. A lot of people try to make up for B12 with algae like spirulina. Turns out that's an analog, meaning your body can't actually use it. There's a different form of vitamin A in meat. People know that. Retinol versus beta carotene. Retinol is readily absorbed. Beta carotene has to be converted. Some people can't actually put it through the conversion process. It's why you can actually overdose on retinol, but you can't on beta carotene. Your body craves the nutrients in meat. Put it this way, if you were to only eat red meat, maybe liver, red meat for the rest of your life, you could do it. Wouldn't be ideal. If you were to only eat vegetables, kale, spinach, you would see your health erode pretty quickly. Pretty quickly if you weren't supplementing with B12. That's a pretty good indicator as to what your body wants. There's also a case to be made historically that human beings evolved once we learned how to cook meat, discovered fire. That's what allowed our brains to develop. Your brain is comprised of mostly fat. Your brain needs fat. You don't get that from kale. Also, kale sucks. I don't care.
I was wondering when you're going to get to that point.
Turn it into chips, or you say like cauliflower. It's just like eating buffalo wings. No, it's not, and I could hurt you.
We should.
Kale sucks. A lot of vegetables suck.
Yeah.
Can I list them?
Yes.
Collard greens. That's disgusting.
Not good.
Yeah. Beets. Gross.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Hate beets.
Etc. There's more.
There's more. Beets taste like dirt.
I
know they're good for you, but they
look like they always have dirt on them.
They always do.
Like a potato comes out, a carrot comes out. They're both grown in the ground. They come out. They don't look like they. Well, russets, they're brown, but they don't look like they have dirt on them. Beets always look dirty.
Yeah, and they always taste dirty.
Yeah.
They taste terrible. Sometimes when they cube it and you've got like cubes of like sweet potatoes or something like that in there, so you've got a potato and you eat it, you're like, oh, that's really good. And then you go and the next one's a beet. It pisses me off.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I've done blood work like clockwork because, some stuff that I have to deal with health-wise.
Yeah.
And I've done the experimenting on my own body. And I went through a period of time where I actually did the whole juicing thing, the smoothie thing.
Yeah.
And it put me on thyroid medication for a very long time. Why? Because of the oxalates I found out in the spinach and the kale. I was not doing very well. My gut was all messed up. And finally my doctor said, well, what were you doing before that? I said, I don't know, like a steak, and there might be a side of like might be some potatoes, might be some vegetables. I said, go back to doing that. Went back to doing that. My lipids went back to normal. I felt better. My stomach was fine. And I don't take thyroid medication anymore.
There you go.
So there you go. Like, I went through this. That doesn't mean it'll be the same for everyone, but I did what people said would make you healthier. And it begs the question, why? Also, we have been told that alcohol in any capacity is pure poison. By the way, wake and bake. But the good news is booze is back on the menu, and that's responsible. Of course, I'm misrepresenting this, but hear Dr. Oz say it.
So alcohol is a social lubricant that brings people together. In the best case scenario, I don't think you should drink alcohol.
Yeah, real close.
But it does allow people an excuse to bond and socialize, and there's probably nothing healthier than having a good time with friends in a safe way. If you look at the blue zones, for example, around the world where people live the longest, alcohol is sometimes part of their diet. Again,
Almost
small
all the time.
amounts, taken very judiciously and usually in a celebratory fashion. So there is alcohol on these dietary guidelines, but the implication is don't have it for breakfast.
What?
Why not?
He's ruining my brunch, said Brian Stelter. Now,
he's inaccurate, by the way. In other words, drinking for a social lubricant. Some people are just trying to forget their past.
That's true. That is true.
Some moms are just trying to get through the day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. I always learned you only drink to make a good day better or to erase a bad one. So
why
drink
wouldn't
always.
you do it in the morning?
Yeah, you just do it in the morning.
It's celebratory. He said celebratory.
Yeah.
I wake up, wow, God made Earth.
Yeah. Well, so I'm
That's
sorry
right.
that I was planning for the future by drinking preemptively.
Yeah. How am I supposed to enjoy lunch?
No, but the truth is, look, if you don't drink, don't start.
I have to work today.
There's probably no discernible health benefit to drinking outside of the social benefits, but there is something to be said for that. And then if you contrast that with the reason that a lot of young Americans find themselves in dire financial straits beyond the way the system is rigged, and we've talked about this in the housing market, how we could correct it. Food delivery service. Yeah. People don't have the third place. There's a very big difference between a pub, right, a public house, you go, you have some food, you play darts, you talk with your friends, and binge drinking, a booze cruise, spring break. And I think that America has gotten that wrong. That's where Europe may, God forbid, have actually gotten something right, where kids would drink wine with their meals in France. They would have table beer in Belgium. They actually studied table beer, giving table beer, meaning a low alcohol percentage beer, to children in Belgium in comparison to soda, and the kids who drank table beer performed better.
It's true, and they were happier.
They were much happier. So are the monks.
Yeah, and they went to bed earlier.
So are the monks. The monks who would go on fast, they could drink as much beer as they wanted. That's an easy ass fast.
That's a BS fast.
It's like
you get a drink of beer, that's food.
Especially Belgian beer. It's like 11%.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't talking to God. You were talking to the cutout. You were talking to the stained glass.
Hey, you want us to
that was the janitor.
Shave our heads, but leave it on the sides? Okay, hold on.
And here's the thing. I think you're a grown adult. You can put in your body, as long as it's not harming someone else, within reason. I don't think we should legalize black tar heroin. I understand that there are some legitimate uses for cannabis products, mainly low THC, high CBD. But I get it, and we've talked about that. But the problem is that we've told young people, one is medication, right? We were raised, we were part of that generation. Well, weed is less harmful than alcohol. Right. And that transpired to wake and bake, get medicated. Here's a strain that'll make you more productive at work. Here's a strain that'll help you sleep. We've never had this kind of bombardment societally for booze. You've never been told, get up and drink a fifth of Jack. That's never been the case. But now it's been reviled to the point where a lot of young people aren't really going out and socializing. So there may be some consequences that were unforeseen. Here's actually someone from Gen Z who's not happy about it.
Now, for everyone else who does not have a substance abuse problem, why are you sober? Why are we 23 acting like we're 65? I see so many videos on my timeline of like, oh my God, post-grad in a new city, how do I make friends? And then I go to their page and they're doing day in the lives where they go to bed at 9 p.m. Dude, you are fucking boring.
Bro,
what could you be doing that's so important that you have to be sober? You have to wake up at 5 a.m. You have to do a 3-hour workout. Are you in the NFL? No. Are you working in some lab 16 hours a day curing cancer? No. You're 23 years old working a corporate job and you lift weights sometimes. I promise you it's okay to drink and have fun and go out and make new friends. This sobriety culture really needs to end. I think it's doing more harm than good. When you're 24
I think this
years
guy's
old,
lonely.
your sleep schedule does not matter. Your body is built to withstand
Tired of drinking with
trench
millennials.
warfare. You're not so important that you're above drinking. 2026, we need to bring back drinking and having fun because honestly, I am sick of this.
And I understand where he's coming from. I would correct one thing. Don't drink because you're young. That would lead you to drink in a way that says, hey, I'm young and could be a problem. If you are going to drink, drink in a way that you could do so in a lifelong way. Same thing with diet. Pick something that's sustainable, that's reasonable, that can actually be a lifestyle into your 60s. And I do think that we've sort of seen this this sort of fractioning of music, of media, where we don't really have those water cooler moments anymore. The same thing happens with approaches to health. You see this with influencers. It's either all about the glutes and ass and six-pack when you're in your 20s, and that's not sustainable, and then these people just completely let themselves go. Used to be a culture of physical fitness, right? Physical culture is what it was called. I'd like to see us go back to that. You don't need to be on the cover of Men's Health, but you also shouldn't be a fat pride activist. Eat sensibly. If you're going to drink, do so sensibly. And I do think that socializing is pretty important. Make some little changes. You know what I mean? Maybe do food delivery a little bit less. Maybe go out to eat or even go to pick up your food. Plan times with friends and social gatherings. That is a very important component. Matter of fact, to give you an idea, there was an anomaly with, I believe it was the FDA, someone can correct me on this, where they studied tobacco. Now, smoking cigarettes, bad, aside from the fact that it makes you look really cool.
Super cool.
So when they separated cigarettes and cigars and pipes, totally different outcomes. I believe they categorize this as 2 cigars per day or less, or 6 pipefuls of tobacco a day or less, which is not a small amount. No, the all-cause mortality increase was negligible, and pipe smokers, on average, lived 4 years longer. Now, this is not a precise study because you're looking at people over their lifespan, but they theorize that maybe the benefits, the meditative, the relaxation benefits of smoking a pipe outweigh the negligible health outcomes because you're not inhaling it, you're not harming your lungs. That was something that really kind of surprised people, and there was no way around it. They just had to say, well, don't smoke. And you probably shouldn't smoke. But we do need to be honest, because if you tell kids, hey, all alcohol is bad. If you tell kids there's no benefit whatsoever to insert chemical A, B, C here, guess what? They're going to want to try it, and they're going to think that you've been lying to them. For proof, see Reefer Madness. Let's just not repeat this across the board. And you don't have to have an unhinged diet. Like I said, did we already play, as RFK actually discussed?
Who has the most unhinged eating habits?
The president. He eats really bad food, which is McDonald's, and then, candy and Diet Coke. But he drinks the Diet Coke all times. He has the constitution of a deity. I don't know how he's alive, but yeah.
One time I watched him reach in the air and eat a live snake. It was alive while he ate it.
That's it. You guys let me know what your diet habits are. You guys let me know the direction you think we should go, and why do you think we had the food pyramid that we did? How did we get it so wrong for so long? And I think, lobbyists, I think, our industry our supply chain is not even set up, let alone our delivery logistics for whole foods this way. It really is set up for processed cereals, grains, and this is going to have some economic impacts. But you know what? Is anyone going to argue against this, that this is better for the United States? You're a parent. And you're going to teach your children, okay, this is the food pyramid. Are you happier? I will tell you, I very, very much am. Since my little ones were young, they've been eating liver. They've always had a serving of meat with their food. They get lots of fruit and veggies. And if they want to have some treats after that, provided they're not overweight, okay, fine. But I make sure that the non-negotiables are meat, fruits, and veggies, but you can kind of accomplish it with fruit.
Yeah. No, I think it seems like a balanced approach. Jeez.
Yeah.
Who thought that would be the problem? Like, I have a problem with, and by the way, sorry, I have some allergies that I'm dealing with right now, but I have a problem with the guy saying,
Eat a steak, you pussy.
I know, it's my fault. I have a problem with saying, like, this sobriety culture. Like, don't get hung up on the words. He's not talking about sobriety in general. Like, hey, go get drunk. He's like, this culture of, like, I'm just completely avoiding any alcohol. Like, going and having a beer with your buddies, beneficial, relieves stress, also gives you some social kind of bonding. You get to kind of get outside of your own head just a little bit, better for your mental health. Staying in your apartment and just kind of going, well, at least I'm not drinking. That's not great.
No, it's not.
Like, don't make that trade-off, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah, if you stay in your apartment all the time, how are you going to accidentally call somebody a slur and get into a fight?
Exactly.
That's true. And how will you know the true depth of your abilities?
I'll tell you what, that happens to me when I stay alone in my apartment and also drink. It just happens with a mirror.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, that's a dangerous fight.
It is.
Glass hurts.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, but I don't feel it.
Well, that's because you're drunk, and that's what's the benefit.
I know. That's one thing. When I drink a lot, I almost feel invincible. It's a superpower.
Weird.
Try it, kids.
Nope.
I'm joking. And just so you know, YouTube won't understand that that's a joke. So download the Rumble app. Follow me there because don't smoke. It doesn't actually make you look cool, except it does. And you are not invincible when you drink, except for the fact that you are. All right.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Fat vagina is exactly what I would say if I wasn't here on YouTube. So go and subscribe on Rumble. Same channel where free speech is actually alive and well. Or you can stay here and the